bit.
I think I said Heartland rock or something like that, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
about as that's kind of adjacent to what Springsteen was doing in the '80s. So, but
yeah, yeah.
aside from that thin connection, I don't. It doesn't. He didn't
No,
sound like the boss to me.
no, he's no boss of mine. Um, and you said stadium rock. I mean, I'd put it more sort of leisure centre rock. You know, it's not quite that scale. Hey, everybody, peeps. It's the Audiophiles, isn't it? My name's John. His name is Andy. Maggie, Maggie, Maggie. Ow, ow, ow. Maggie, Maggie, Maggie. Ow, ow, ow. More on that later. But first, because it's a special day, Friday, we have a viewer's request. This one is quite interesting because it was independently, well, I believe so. Perhaps they colluded. I don't know, actually. But two different viewers requested the same song. And they are Pair of Pints, nice Withnall reference there, and also Jizo, 000. And a pair of pints from Godfather's Birth, School, Work, Death, and Jizo, whoa, from the Pogues, Sick Book of Killer Fame. And they both asked for The Rattler by Goodbye, Mr. Mackenzie. I know this song, so Andy is the lucky pup who gets to go off and wrap his lug holes around it. You're not aware of Goodbye, Mr. Mackenzie, are you?
No,
There's
no,
no reason why you should be. There is no reason. Where's
I'm
one?
got nothing on Goodbye, Mr. Mackenzie. So, be interesting to hear what they have to offer.
Okay, well, you go off and give it a go. Come back and let us know what you think.
I'll do just that. A lot happening here. I'm coming. Yeah, I want to hear that again because there was a lot of very interesting sounds they sort of deployed one after the other there. Sounded like this really simple 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 kind of tinkling melody, very simple, but interesting. And then after that, there was kind of like this thrum, slow sound, and somewhere in there, I heard like what sounded like communication from the Predator. If you're familiar with that movie franchise, that sort of rattling seems apropos given the name of the song. And then what sounded like an electric accordion or something like that. I'm not really sure, but it was interesting. And then it all kind of opened up after that into what I assume is going to be, the opening salvo of the song proper, like maybe the verse or that some songs open with the chorus. I'm not really sure, but I want to go back and relive whatever that interesting intro was. It also starts with this like crackle, like almost like a record or something being played. Really cool. One, two, three, four. 1 2 3 4. That. That's that like accordion type sound. Or the rattle. I'm coming down the line. I'm a rattling boy. He's a rattling boy. Rattling through the countryside. I'm a rattling boy. He's a rattling boy. Yeah, I just live from day to day. I'm a rattling boy. He's a rattling boy. Eating them beaver on my way. Going
Get those feet out of that clay. I can't take you all the way. I'm as stationary as a stream. I am aimless in extreme.
Okay, so I think we got a verse, a chorus, and then some sort of post-chorus there. And the post-chorus was really interesting because it returned to that 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of melodic motif from the very beginning of the song. And then his voice definitely changes a bit too, right? Like he goes into this more placid, sort of lower, calmer delivery, less emphatic, I guess, as it begins than the chorus of the verse that preceded it. And now I think we're going back in what sounds like another verse here. I don't know what a rattling boy is, but it sounds like somebody who's on the move. I don't know if that's I hear rattling boy and I think rambling man. Or like a rolling stone. Just sort of that same sentiment, right? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. We still got plenty of song left. Maybe they'll paint a clearer picture. I do sort of like this call and response technique in the verse, I believe it was, when he's like, I'm a rattling boy. He's a rattling boy. Like, responds back to him. It's like, it's good to get confirmation that he is, in fact, a rattling boy. But yeah, let's see where we go from here.
I'm going to a better time. I'm going to a better place. I don't like people to know my face. I can help get those feet out of that clay, but I can't take you all the way.
Nice guitar.
If I could hold you, if I could love you, then I would do.
Or a nice guitar.
I can help get those feet out of that clay. I can't take you all the way, 'cause I'm a rattling boy. I'm a rattling boy. Rattling boy. I'm a rattling boy. Rattling boy. Rattling boy. Take you all. Rattling boy. Rattling boy. I can't take you all. Rattling boy. Rattling boy. I can't take you all. Rattling boy. Rattling boy. I won't take you all away.
Okay, on the fade out. Interesting song. Nothing groundbreaking or not like, anything I'd ever heard before. It kind of has this like, heartland stadium rock that seems rooted in like indie new wavy / post punky kind of, vibe to it. So, interesting, good, pleasant to these ears. Hopefully I can get a clearer picture of what Rattlin' Boy is. I liked how in this that there at the end when they repeated that refrain, there seemed to be the first appearance of like a female vocalist joining that response to his call. which was, you know, a nice way to change things up and something a little different from how it appeared before earlier in the tune. I like that little winding guitar. I wish that, like that lead, I wish that had gone on for a little bit longer. I mean, it could have, and I wouldn't have taken issue with it. That's for sure. Um, yeah, and that what to these ears sounds like, and I don't have a vast, you know, boatload experience with the accordion, but it sounded like some sort of like electric accordion or something like that. Um, and I enjoyed that too. Yeah, this is a pretty fun, good listen. I would listen to the song again if it came on. I've never heard of these guys whatsoever at all, so I'm curious if there are other tracks by these guys or if this is their big breakthrough. I have no idea. They could have tons of hits, or you know, this could be a one-hit wonder. I have no clue. But the interesting little decisions made in this, the whooping and yipping that was going on, sort of that reappearance of that kind of rattling sound that is deployed throughout the song was really interesting. Ties in well with the name. I don't know what the significance is of that. Hopefully, John can explain what it is to be a Rattling boy. Uh, Plenty of questions, but my overall, you know, what I can glean from this, just from a first listen, one time listen, very enjoyable track. Some really great percussions. It was produced really well. Some nice, bright sounding guitars. Also sounded very 80s. So yeah, I got more questions than I do answers. So let's get back to John and see if we can fill in some blanks.
So Hugh Massingberg, he's back. So you've had a chance to drop the Rattler. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed the way this one started because it has like it was almost like that beginning of like when you first put a record on, you get a little bit of that crackling for like a second or two, maybe.
I
Um,
think the one I picked actually was somebody who's recorded the 7-inch. So you
no shit.
actually, I think that was real crackle and
Okay, all
snap
right.
and pop.
Okay. That makes me like it even
I
more
think.
that's how
Yeah.
someone uploaded it. So yeah, you get that, and then there's this very it starts very simply and synthy with this like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 kind of melody that's going on, just
Yeah.
kind of tinkling through the speakers. Um, but they very quickly are accompanied by these other interesting sounds as well. The first of which sounds like the sound of the Predator would make if you're like familiar with that film series, you know, that sort of rattling, apropos, I suppose, given the name of the track, but that rattling sound that they use to communicate. Um, and then we get this I don't know, this kind of like subdued, like bassy thrum that kind of comes in. And then there's some sort of like digital accordion sound. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but it kind of has this, I don't know. It sounded like it did like some sort of like fabricated accordion sound to me. But I thought all of this was really interesting way to like piece by piece, and like each one was more unexpected than the last as far as like how they, but it worked. And at the end of the day, it all ended up coming together. But then you have this sort of like pronounced amplified chord strike. Um, there's also what sounds like a bow on fiddle drag for a moment there at the very beginning of the song. Or right as the song is like the song proper is taking off. I guess what would be the beginning of the verse here, right? And then the drums obviously come in, and we've got a full rounded out sound here. And the singer begins to deliver the first verse, and there are more than just a couple uses of the term or variants thereof of rattle. So this is further illustrated by the use of this kind of call and response vocal motif where the lead singer delivers, "I'm a rattling boy," only to be followed by another set of vocals affirming he's a rattling boy. So you get this, "I'm a rattling boy," he's a rattling boy. There's no mistake about it. This guy's rattling. Um, and then halfway through the first verse, the music kind of like intensifies slightly. And the singer delivers the line, "Yeah, I just live from day to day." And the drums become more pronounced as the verse kind of presses forward. And now the chorus kicks off, and he reiterates that he is headed down the line, something that I think he mentions in the beginning of the verse. and seeking a better place and time. So it sounds like he's in search of greener or newer pastures. Just judging by what I can extrapolate from the lyrics to this point, what lyrics I'm catching. Then after the chorus and before the next verse, there's this really interesting sort of post-chorus bit where the music shifts again to that 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 kind of melody, and over top of which the singer delivers these lyrics in more of a placid tone. Um, he sings, "I'm as stationary as a stream. I am aimless in extreme," I think is what he says, which is an interesting way of saying he's not stationary at all. To say you are as stationary as something that's not stationary, I get what he's saying. This further underscores that he is a bit of a rambling man, just trying to make a living and doing the best he can. And if I could abuse and cross pollinate another rock song into this, he sounds like he's a bit of a Rolling Stone as well. So after this bit, we return to another verse, though this time it seems like a truncated version, like maybe it's half the length of at least lyrically, I think it's like half the length as the first one. And after this, we get treated to another chorus, and then at the 2:08 mark, things shift into this like bridge-y portion of the song, and the guitar shines for a moment. It's bright, it's pretty, it's got a beautiful tone to it. But then the music downshifts in what appears to be something akin to like that electric accordion sound that I talked about. That is one of the pieces that sort of start the song off. And he serenades the object of his affection with the lines, "If I could hold you, if I could love you, then I would do." So this "I would do" is a very English way of saying "I would," because very rarely does anyone hear like an American say "I would do" and just leave it at that, as "I would do that" or "I would." There isn't this in between. So I'm beginning to think this is my first real sign that maybe this is a band from the UK. So that's where I stand with that. You can fill me in on that. After which there's this pleasant winding guitar lead that is a bit short but enjoyable nonetheless, and it gives way to another chorus that is that there's this repeated mantra and declaration that he is a Rattling boy. I have no idea what Rattling boy means. I can make an educated guess based off the rest of the lyrics, but I've never heard that term. And this time, the number of respondents seems to have grown in numbers. And I believe I caught a female voice in the mix as well, who, providing the response to his call, if you will, with these lyrics. So there's also these really fun, silly, stray yelps tossed in for good measure as the song is kind of fading to an end. That kind of made me laugh as well. I enjoyed that. Overall, the song, I enjoyed it. It had like this touch of 80s stadium rock and Heartland rock. And I know that Heartland seems to be an American thing, but that doesn't mean people can't enjoy it from over there and replicate it or put their own spin on it, given that I said I assume that they're a UK band. But it does have a little bit of that to it. But it felt more grounded in like an early indie or like maybe post-punk sound or something like that. Overall, it was a pretty decent song for a first listen, and I enjoyed giving it a go. And I mean, I would listen to this again, and I would certainly give them another shot. I don't know if this was sort of their one hit, as in they were a one-hit wonder, or if they've got a wealth of, hits that they had during their tenure or whatever. But just based off giving this one a go, I'd venture to give them another listen in the future.
Okay, fair enough. I'll get into it in a second, but just to my sort of take on this, I kind of remember this from when it came out. It was in the murky depths of the charts. It never really got to the bright lights at the top of the charts. And this was, I think, their only charting hit, as it were, semi-hit. For me, it's all right. It's not quite what I gravitate towards. It kind of reminds me of, from where that, again, they're Scottish, other bands from that, maybe slightly after them, but someone like Delamitri or particularly like Deacon Blue. It's quite chart-friendly sounding and almost quite sort of upbeat and optimistic. And certainly at that time, I wasn't into any of that shit. Optimistic, certainly not. So yeah, it's okay for me, but it's not. I probably enjoyed it now more than I did at the time it came out.
Yeah.
But it's decent enough. It's just not quite my thing. So details. Goodbye, Mr. Mackenzie are a Scottish alt rock / indie rock band from Bathgate, Scotland. They formed in 1984 when Martin Metcalf moved on from his first band, which was called Teenage Dog Orgy. So I include that as see that on posters around town. Goodbye, Mr. Mackenzie is named after Jean Reese's 1931 novel After Leaving Mr. Mackenzie. Not read it. So the track you listen to, Rattler, is a 1986 song by them and has become their most enduring track, often referred to as a lost classic of the Scottish music scene. The song has often been described as Springsteen-esque. I'm not really sure about that, but
he didn't sound like Springsteen to me, but certain aspects of the music sounded like maybe I think I said Heartland rock or something like that, and that's about as that's kind of adjacent to what Springsteen was doing in the 80s. So, but aside from that thin connection, I don't. It doesn't. He didn't sound like the boss to me.
No, he's no boss of mine. And you said stadium rock. I mean, I'd put it more sort of leisure centre rock. It's not quite that scale. But anyway, so lineup of the band: Martin Metcalf, you heard on vocals; John Duncan, guitar; Rona Scooby, keyboards and backing vocals; Shirley Manson, keyboards and backing vocals; Finn Wilson, bass; and Derek Kelly, drums. Just a little point about Mr. Duncan on guitar. He was better known as Big John Duncan, and he played guitar for British punk band The Exploited, who were well loved and feared at the same time. And also in 1992/93, he worked as a backline and guitar technician for Nirvana. He also has worked with Twisted Sister, Ministry, and the Foo Fighters. So that's quite interesting. So the Mackenzies recorded the Rattler with producer Wilf Smarties, that's a name, who was known for producing Edinburgh cult band The Fire Engines, Candy Skin, oh, Candy Skin, which we listened to in February this year. At the same time, Smarties, just feels weird to say that as somebody's surname.
It doesn't sound any less weird when you throw Wilf in front of it either,
Wilf indicates circular glasses and a twirly moustache, I find. But yeah, Smarties have been producing demos for Wet, 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 whose manager, Elliot Davis, heard Goodbye Mr. Mackenzie's material. Davis then signed them up to his label, which was called The Precious Organization. The band edited a homemade music video for The Rattler, which I have seen, and it was broadcast on the Tube, which was a much revered and loved TV show, music show at the time, with Jules Holland and Paulie Yates fronting it. And that airing encouraged radio play of the song. But within weeks, The Rattler was abruptly dropped from Radio 1 playlists, allegedly due to lyrics alluding to cunnilingus. Despite this, the track reached number 8 in the indie charts.
I suppose he wasn't a cunning enough linguist then to keep that hidden. Yeah.
3 years later, The Rattler was re-recorded and released on a major label as a single ahead of the band's debut album, Good Deeds and Dirty Rags. The Rattler became the band's only top 40 single, peaking at number 37, and the album got to number 23 in the mainstream charts. So let's go through the lyrics, and there's a bit of rattling going on. So I'm coming down the line. I'm a rattling boy. Yes, he's a rattling boy. Rattling through the countryside. I'm a rattling boy. He's a rattling boy. Yeah, I just live from day to day. I'm a rattling boy. He is a rattling boy. Eating them beaver on my way. I'm a rattling boy. He's a rattling boy. You may have missed it, but there you go. I'm going down the line. I'm going to a better time. I'm going to a better place. I don't like people to know my face. I can help those feet out of that clay, but I can't take you all the way. And it goes into that sort of break. I'm as stationary as a stream. I am aimless in extreme. I hold down what I need in my right hand. I'm a rattling boy. He's still a rattling boy. I do the work my gut demands. I'm a wrestling boy. He's a wrestling boy. Um, I'm going down the line. I'm going to a better place. I'm going to a better time. Sorry, I'm going to a better place. I don't like people to know my face. I can help get those feet out of that clay, but I can't take you all the way. And we go into that sort of instrumental break. And it comes back. If I could hold you, if I could love you, then I would do. There's that very small guitar break. And then I can help get those feet out of that clay, but I can't take you all the way because I'm a rattling boy. I'm a rattling boy. Rattling boy. I'm a rattling boy. Rattling boy, rattling boy. I can't take you all the way. Rattling boy, rattling boy. I can't take you all the way. Rattling boy, rattling boy. I can't take you all the way. Rattling boy. I won't take you all the way. And that's it. In terms of like you were talking about lyrics and other songs, I think this sounds like the littlest hobo that swallowed something, hence all the rattling. But no, there's a place that keeps on calling me, and he's just moving on. Anyway, yeah. So back to the timeline. So the band,
really quickly, John, is that a common phrase, like to be
I was
rattling?
No, I suspect it's slang of that geographical place and probably of that time as well. Something somebody used for about 6 months, you know. And I guess it's someone who's won't settle down, keeps on moving on, blah blah blah.
That's what I was able to assume, but I was like, I've never heard that used before.
And there might be other connotations as well. There could be a cad and a bounder as well. So the band, after being bounced sideways from Capitol Records to Parlophone, released 2 more singles, which only got in the lower echelons of the charts, number 52 and 61. And their contract was bought out by another label. And then their second album, Hammer and Tongs, was released in 1991. The album and the singles from it all failed to chart. One of the members of the band, Shirley Manson, actually recorded lead vocals on their 1994 self-released third album, 5. But only one track, which was a duet, actually made the cut with her vocals heading it. Manson then went off and signed as a solo artist and recorded new material with Metcalfe, Kelly, and Wilson, collectively known as the band Angelfish. An album and 2 singles were released, and the band toured the States. They didn't have any commercial success. But the video for one of their singles, Suffocate Me, did air on MTV. And a chap called Steve Marker, who's a musician and a producer, saw this video and thought Manson would be good for perfect for his new band, which also included Duke Erickson and Butch Vig. So Manson left Angelfish and joined the group Garbage and never looked back. Kelly, Wilson, and Metcalfe formed a new band called Isa and the Filthy Tongues, and that was effectively the end of Goodbye, Mr. Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Okay.
In 2019, the band did reform without Manson. I mean, she did say she had prior Garbage commitments, which I could imagine, but anyway, they toured through the UK all that year. And in an interview, Martin Metcalfe revealed the issues in reuniting, including the fact that the guitarist Big John Duncan, had multiple sclerosis at this point, and that Rona Scobie had not played a single note in over 20 years. He described Duncan's ability to relearn his guitar parts in spite of his ongoing health concerns as something of a miracle. And that's pretty inspirational for anyone who's suffering to be able to do that. There was a documentary about the reunion entitled Until the End of the Road, and it was released in 2020. And a live album entitled A Night in the Windy City was released in February 2021 and featured their 2019 performance at Glasgow Barrowlands, that iconic venue. So, yeah, that is the story of Goodbye, Mr. Mackenzie.
Interesting. Interesting. You've said her names like a few times. I kept going, at some point, is he going to tell me that this is the Shirley Manson from Garbage, or is he just going to keep saying this name as if? And then finally, I was like, what are the chances that you hear these 2 women with the same name from the same country? But yeah, thank you because I kept.
I mean, what are the chances that a youngish lady from an obscure Scottish band that renamed themselves Angelfish would then end up in Garbage? And honestly, it's a massive, done really well for themselves, and I really enjoy the first 1.5 albums that they put out. So
Yeah.
decent stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's goodbye, Mr. Mackenzie. Yeah, it's a really interesting. It's a slice of history for me more than a wonderful song. It's a decent song, but it's that time as well. I heard it when it was re-released in '86, so that sort of puts it in time frame for me.
Yeah.
Was that a year after Live Aid? I don't know what stuff I'd have been listening to then. Probably mostly U2, and my punk stuff and my blues stuff as well, and. But yeah, interesting. So thank you very much, A Pair of Pints. And also Jizo. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Thank you very much for recommending this and giving us a bit of a goodbye, Mr. Mackenzie, for the channel. Much appreciated. I will wrap things up and say thanks for listening to this, Andy. Thanks again. Pair of Pints. Jizo. Ooh. And for folks out there, please tell us what you think. If you like this, please do hit the like button. Drop some comments about this track, about Goodbye, Mr. Mackenzie, Shirley Manson, Charles Manson. If you are indeed ever known as a Rattler in your past or present, tell us what it's like. How does it feel? What are the hours? We'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. And help support the channel. We really appreciate everyone that does. Until we too can finally join garbage. And that being said, thanks so much for watching. We'll see all of you in the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.